Are you a classroom teacher or a homeschool parent who's dealing with burnout, suffering from overwhelm, and frustrated because you're trying to manage your daily responsibilities, your classroom responsibilities, keep your children engaged, and give them the education that they need, and you keep coming up against resistance? They're pushing back, they're disengaged, and more so, they're distracted by the technological devices that they access on a consistent basis. If that's you, I want you to know you're not alone. I've walked in your shoes. I want you to journey with me for a moment. It was 1995, August of 1995. I had just graduated from undergraduate school with my bachelor's degree in English literature. I didn't know who I was, where I was going, or what I wanted to do. Yes, after 12 years of regular school and 4 years in undergrad, I still was lost. And my high school social worker, I was talking to her and she said, "You have student loan bills, you have a daughter. I had just had my first child." She's like, "You have responsibilities. You need a job. Why don't you just become a substitute teacher until you can figure out what you want to do?" And I said to her, "A substitute teacher? I don't even like kids." And she said, "That's beside the point. You have responsibilities. So you can figure that out." Well, I decided to become a substitute teacher. Not because I wanted to teach, but because I wanted to pay my bills. But the first day that I walked into that sixth grade center, something happened. Let me tell you about that day. I walked into the sixth grade center and I saw and felt so much chaos. The energy was crazy. You could see the disorder. Students everywhere. No one seemed to be going where they should have been going. There were conversations that were being had that should never have been being had at that age. Things that they were talking about that were highly classified, if you know what I mean. You could see the trouble that they were going towards. You could see the unhealthy relationships and unhealthy choices that they were making. But see, I wasn't there for that. I was there for the paycheck, remember? And then something happened. I walked into the classroom, I prepared for my class, and when the bell rang, I gave them my speech. I told them who I was, and I told them that I was there to make sure that they got their work done for the day and that they were safe. I told them that once they finished their work, they could do what they wanted to do as long as they weren't swinging from the ceilings and they kept the noise level down. Then I gave them the opportunity to tell me what expectations they had for me, and I listened. And then I began to speak to them again. And when I began to speak to them, I looked out into their eyes and something shifted. It was a big shift, a humongous shift in me. Because when I looked at them, I could hear their silent cries. They were screaming for someone to hear them. They were yearning for someone to care. They wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be safe. And it was in that moment that I had a heart change. Because when I looked at them, I saw myself. I remembered sitting in that seat, being that age, and not knowing who I was. I remembered sitting in that seat, wanting someone to hear me because I was hurting and I didn't know how to express it. I remember sitting in that seat and wanting someone to help me feel safe. And it was in that moment that I decided I was no longer there for logic to pay a bill, but I was there on a mission. And it became a heart thing for me, a heart, deep heart thing. I decided that I would not only be the change that I wanted to see in the world, that I would also be instrumental in creating the change that we all need in the world. And what is that change? We need to create spaces and places for our youth to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel heard. Because when we do that, we unlock the door for them to be themselves. We unlock the door for them to tap into their creative genius, to open up to a world of endless possibilities and become all that they were created to be. But when we lock them down, when we shut them down and tell them to sit down, to be quiet, and to conform, we simply close that door. We close the door of opportunity for them. We stifle their creativity and we cause them to not be able to thrive, to evolve. And that, my friend, is a problem. Statistics show that when children enter the education system, they enter with curiosity and a high level of engagement. However, every year that they're in the education system, that enthusiasm and want and desire to learn and be engaged decreases every year. And it gets smaller and smaller. And by the time they reach the 12th grade, it's so low that it's barely recognizable. That is a problem. And on top of that, statistics show that since 1990, creativity in our youth has gone down tremendously and it continues to fall in a place, in a space where innovation and creativity is necessary for us to thrive. And you know what that means for us as a global presence? That if we don't fix this problem, our lives are going to be filled with doom and gloom. Why? Because we won't have people who are qualified to step up into leadership positions, to lead us in this world and to help us to make this place a place of peace, joy, and happiness where we all can live and enjoy life like it's meant to be lived and enjoyed. We won't have that space because we keep shutting our children down. But you know what? There is a way that we can solve this problem. created a framework called the CPR method. 3 steps to resuscitating disengaged learners. And it's based on 3 pillars. The first pillar is to shape your space. Shape your space. How do you shape your space? You shape your space first by how you set it up. When your classroom or your homeschool, when your children enter that classroom or that homeschool, do they feel like it's a place of safety? Do they feel like it's a place where they can be heard? Do they feel like it's a place they can be seen? Do they have a voice in how it's put together and set up? Is it open? Or is your classroom or your homeschool cluttered? Because if it is, that's where you need to start. Clear the space, the physical space. Once you clear the physical space and you have things in place where children know that they can access the materials they need when they need them without assistance, because we're raising independent learners. They need to know how to do for themselves. They don't need us to save them. They need us to coach them. Is your space set up where lighting is good enough for them to be able to stay engaged? Do you have a safe space in your room where when they feel overwhelmed, they can go to that space and recharge or reset? Do you have places where they can work in groups or with you as the parent? Can you work together with them in a space? And do they have a space that is specifically for them that they can design for themselves? If you're a classroom teacher and they sit in desks, that's their space. They can design their space the way that they need to. But your classroom is a community space where you all created together. You claim your space and you set routines in place to help you keep your space and your energy intact. So once you've created the physical space, how do you maintain this? You set routines like grounding routines where you ground your students. You teach them how to present themselves. Here's a technique you can use in your classroom. You start off by getting their attention. So, any cue that you can use to get their attention. In schools, I often say things like class, class, or I'll clap, or I'll talk soft. Because when you talk soft, people have to listen. When you talk loud, that's when they tune you out. When you talk soft, because they're trying to see what you saying. And I'll use that to get their attention. I'll say, class, can you hear me? We're about to do A, B, and C. So you can start off with a cue, whichever one works for you. Do it your way. Once you have their attention, say, we're about to do a grounding exercise so that we can bring ourselves to presence and get ready for learning. We're going to take 3 deep breaths and we're going to do it together. We're going to breathe in from our diaphragm, in through our nose, and out through our mouths. And we're going to do this 3 times. And after we breathe, we're going to shake all of that energy out so we can get ready to learn. And then we're going to ground ourselves, and then we're going to set our intention for our learning today. So let's do this together. Let's start. We're going to start. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel those diaphragms in. Up. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out. You're starting to feel yourself relax. Yes. Now let's shake those sillies out. Let's get them out. Hey! Yay! Whoa, free yourself. Free yourself. Stand up if you need to. Shake it out. Shake it out. Shake it out. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Now I need you to sit in your seat, and I need you to place your feet firmly on the floor. I need you to imagine that the bottom of your feet are roots of trees. And I want you to see and imagine those roots going deep, deep, deep down into the ground, grounding you, making you feel safe, making you feel secure, making you feel stable. Feel the energy move from the top of your head and flow down into your feet and get you balanced and grounded. Can you feel it? You're safe. You're stable. You are grounded. Now that we're grounded, let's set our intention for how we're going to learn moving forward. Repeat after me. As we move forward, we are going to stay open to learn new things. We're ready to learn. Now, that routine right there will actually help you to give your students a way to come back to themselves and become present in a moment. It opens their mind. And once they open their mind, you can now begin teaching. So we claim our space by setting up our physical environment in a classroom child-friendly way where they have access to the things that they need when they need them without assistance. And then we teach them routines that they can use and that can help them to be present in the moment so that they can learn and they can unleash their creativity. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is see the child. Make them know, I see you. You're important, and I'm glad you're here. You can do that in a number of ways, but I'm going to share a few with you. Here's a simple technique. When they come into the classroom or the homeschool in the morning, greet them. Say, Grand Rising, it's great to see you today. I'm so happy to be here with you. Or ask them, how are you today? How are you feeling? Are you having a good day? And if they say no, don't just let that go. Say, would you like to talk about it? I'm here for you if you need to talk. We're in this together. You're not alone. That lets them know that they're being seen. Another way you can let them be seen is when they're doing something and they're putting forth the effort, you can say to them, I really am proud of you for the effort that you're putting in. You're doing great. Keep going. I'm so proud of you. Just those simple things can change and shift an atmosphere. So you have two things. You've claimed your space, you're seeing the child. And the third thing you're going to do now is unlock that creativity. The first two, open their mind up and get them ready and to be open to learning. The third one is where the learning takes place. So when we open up their creativity, how do we do that? What you do is you create lessons around the things they like to do. I'm going to share a story with you on how I use this simple method to turn around an eighth grade algebra class in an inner city school with children who hated math. The first day I walked in the classroom excited because number one, I love math. I love teaching math. Math is what I do with numbers. That's my that's my life. So I was excited. I wrote everything on the board. They had their stampers and everything. We're gonna be ready for them when they came in. I was ready to teach. I gave them the spiel. Welcome to eighth grade algebra. We're gonna have a great year this year. We're gonna learn A, B, C. And this young man raised his hand. He was a known gang member. As a matter of fact, he was one of the leaders of the gang. He said, "Are you talking about teaching us algebra?" I said, "I sure am." He said, "We don't do that. We don't do that here. What we do, we talk, we play, we do whatever we want to do. That's what we do here. We don't do math. We don't do that." And I said, "Wow. Well, you're in for a great surprise because this year we're going to do math and we're going to do exactly what you just said. We're going to talk, we're going to play, and we're going to do it the way we want." And guess what? You may not like math now, but by the time we get to the end of the school year, you're going to love math. He said, "I doubt that." I said, "I promise you." And I began that very first day taking what he said and turning it into opportunity. That very first day, we began learning the math properties and we played musical people. And I taught them what the associative property was by allowing them to switch groups and see the numbers didn't change. To see that the outcome, if you added those numbers together, you still got the same answer. If you multiplied those numbers together, you still got the same answer. We talked about the zero property and we talked about how the zero was a mirror. And when you look in it, you see yourself. We used all these games and techniques. And before I knew it, the class was a classroom of math experimentation. And by the time we got to the end of the school year, that class had shifted. Why? Because I created a space for them to be safe, to be seen, and to be heard. Because what I heard him say when he said what he said was not, we don't do math, but we're afraid of math. It's hard. We don't do that. We do what's easy. We do what we're comfortable doing. We do what makes us happy. So I created an environment so that they can do what made them happy, so they can be comfortable, and so that they can do what was easy for them. And that last day of school, I was standing outside of my classroom, and that same young man walked up to me. And he said, "Miss Aliel, I want to tell you thank you. Thank you for caring enough for us to pour into us and to love us enough to teach us that which we thought we couldn't learn. He said, thank you, because I not only do algebra, I love algebra. And that's because you cared. And because you cared, I was able to learn and move past limitations. Every time I think about that, it brings tears to my eyes to be able to reach the youth like that. That's my daily mission. But that's not just my daily mission alone. My biggest mission is to teach parents who homeschool their children and classroom teachers to do the same thing. To take back your classrooms, to claim your space, to see your students and unlock the creativity inside of them. Because that's what's going to change not just their lives, but our lives around the world. That's what's going to create the leaders of the future. We're going to make our world a better place. That's what's going to make the difference in all of our lives. And that's what I'm here for. That's why I started New Day Education, which I'm now transitioning to education a new way. We're here to help homeschool parents and classroom teachers to transform their learning environments and make them a safe place where children can be seen, heard, and safe so that they can open up their creativity and thrive and become the best version of themselves and help to make our world a better place. And in doing so, what we do is we create innovators, problem solvers, big picture thinkers who are ready to serve our world in top leadership positions and do it in a holistic way that helps us all in the end. So, how can I help you moving forward? This is what I want you to do. If you want to be a homeschool parent or a classroom teacher who has that kind of impact on your students, on your children, I'm opening up some slots so that I can book a call with you and we can do a classroom audit to see what is actually going on in your environment and how we can help you to get the results that you need for not just you, but for your students and your children. So what I want you to do is the link. Click the link in my bio, and I want you to book your call so we can help you get your classroom and your homeschool on the path to making that kind of impact where you can change students' lives and make their lives better. And in return, you're going to make your life better, make your life less stressful, make their life less stressful, and help make the world a better place. Are you ready to take that journey? I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great day. I'm Shalimar Ali L, the founder of Education a New Way, and I'm here for you. You